Welcome to a brand new series here on Top Shelf Hockey, where on each and every episode we're going to be having a special guest of another hockey YouTuber come and join us to talk some NHL trade talk and some potential scenarios. We'll jump into this new series coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, I'm excited to launch a brand new series here on the channel. Being further into the off-season, I wanted to create something different to talk about, and we don't know exactly when the 2021 NHL season is going to get underway. And I also know there's lots of other great hockey YouTuber channels out there that I've worked with in the past, or I'd love to work with again, and some newer ones as well, since I've last done some collaborations. So I wanted to find a way to work with the community and to create some new and different kind of content here that hopefully you'll find entertaining. So essentially what we're going to do here is I created this series with a little bit of a, I guess you could say, a game show feel to it. So every guest is going to be giving 3 questions to answer. So we're looking at some pretty high profile NHL players, and in each scenario here they're going to be given 2 players, and I want them to discuss which player they feel is most likely to be traded. So of course this is not a trade rumor type of video. This does not mean we think these players are going to be traded or anything like that. This series was created strictly for fun and hopefully entertaining hockey discussion and debate. So I really don't want to see comments saying that player won't be traded or this player won't be traded. That's not the point of this. This is strictly just for fun. Out of these players coming up, which one do you feel would be the more likely one to be traded amongst the 2? It's just as simple as that. There's no wrong answers here, just opinions, but hopefully entertaining opinions to keep you entertained in this series. Now, first up here, our first guest is hands down a terrific choice to be the first in the series. We have Justin from Hands Down Hockey and Gaming on the channel, and his first question that I've given him is going to be a Penguin question, considering he is a diehard Penguins fan. So the first pair of players he's looking at is Kris Letang and Evgeni Malkin.
So before I jump into the 3 sets of players most likely to be traded, I want to give a huge thank you to Top Shelf Hockey. Thanks for having me on. This sounds like a really fun idea. And legit, 10 seconds before I hit record here, well, granted, I made a little pretty graphic and whatnot. I didn't have a lot of time to really think about this, so it's very off the cuff, just kind of the raw reaction, which is absolutely fantastic. So let's just get right into it, all right? First one. Most likely to be traded, Kris Letang, Evgeni Malkin. Now, I know if you're a follower of Hands Down Hockey, yes, you know I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and I've talked about both of these guys till I was blue in the face. And there's upsides, there's downsides, but you have to look at it from a GM perspective. Evgeni Malkin is still classified as one of the best centers in the NHL without any doubt. Kris Letang definitely has an offensive upside as a defenseman. And the issue I've always had with Kris Letang is staying healthy, and at times he can be an absolute turnover machine. But if we look at this contractually, you look at the dollar value of Kris Letang and the dollar value of Evgeni Malkin. Right now, Kris Letang's worth has been lowered over the last few years, and I look at that contract as being one that would be impossible to move. And of course, both of these guys would have to okay it due to their contracts and so on and so forth. But let's just say we're in a magical world where both of these guys said, you know what, if the trade's there, let's do it, okay? Well, the Kris Letang contract would be a lot more difficult to move. If Pittsburgh were to trade Evgeni Malkin right now, yeah, you know, he's in his 30s. I get it. He's no longer a 25-year-old winning a lot of individual awards. But again, they lose Evgeni Malkin, they're losing that 1-2 punch. If Sidney Crosby on the top unit, Evgeni Malkin on the second, it's very hard to contain when both of those guys are just going at a true 100%. Kris Letang, to me, would be the guy I would trade over an Evgeni Malkin. But if you're another GM of another club, who do you want more, Letang or Malkin? Well, for me, the answer is Evgeni Malkin. You're going to get more out of him, and you're just going to make your team that much stronger down the middle. Evgeni Malkin going to another team instantly elevates them. Kris Letang going to another team, to me, does not instantly elevate them. So at the same time, I view it as that is a contract that Pittsburgh is simply just going to need to hang on to. And by that, I'm referring to Kris Letang. So most likely to be traded here would be Evgeni Malkin. Would it ever happen? Absolutely not. But looking at it from a GM perspective, that would be the easier contract to move right now, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with most of what you said on the Penguin players, and I do think personally, like from the Penguins' perspective, if they had to pick which one they would prefer to trade first, it would definitely be Kris Letang. I can see Malkin being a Penguin for life, retiring in Pittsburgh. I know there had been some rumors a while back on him, but I don't think that there's anything really going to happen there. But I do think Malkin does have a much more valuable contract considering he's playing at a much higher level. So I think from the other team's perspective, Malkin would be much more likely. But if obviously Pittsburgh had to pick, they would certainly ship Letang out first, if possible. Now, next up, I asked Justin to take a look at a couple of Blackhawks legends, and that's Captain Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane.
Oh, okay. We're picking on the Chicago Blackhawks now. Jonathan Toews or Patrick Kane? Well, I know instantly which player I would want more so than the other, and that is Patrick Kane. He is going to go down upon retirement. Patrick Kane's going to be the highest scoring U.S.-born player of all time, and I think he's just going to be remembered as the greatest U.S.-born player of all time when he finally retires. Patrick Kane is that good, and because he's still that good, he stands out more so than Jonathan Toews for me, personally. Jonathan Toews definitely has a lot of solid leadership qualities to him. He's a very defensive-oriented player as well, although that upside on Patrick Kane is so much higher. But right now at this point in their careers and the fact they're over 10 million, that would be a tough sell for any GM, in all honesty. But Jonathan Toews would be the one I think would be more likely to be traded simply because Patrick Kane has the higher upside. But then you could flip it and say, okay, well, Patrick Kane has the higher upside, which means a bigger return for the Chicago Blackhawks. So either or could be a potential win situation. The stock of Patrick Kane will net you more than Jonathan Toews. But, you know, those leadership qualities come into play, the defensive mindedness, and so on and so forth. But most likely to be traded for me out of these two would be Jonathan Toews. But again, that would not be an easy sell to the rest of the NHL.
With the Hawks legends here, Toews and Kane, I must say I agree that Kane probably has more value given the fact that he's much more offensive, playing at a higher level in that regard. I can honestly see Patrick Kane playing really up until his early 40s or beyond. Like, he's one of those guys, he's been able to remain relatively healthy, and if that stays that way in the next few years as his contract expires, I would not see teams be too hesitant to give him a little bit longer term than you normally see for players at that age. I mean, hard to say exactly how long he plays, but I think he has more value from that perspective, and I can see him playing a long time. Jonathan Toews has a lot of value as well, and it's just the contract hit that comes with it. Obviously, you can only pay so much for those intangibles, and you see many teams not really wanting to do that. So clearly, I think Kane here would be the more likely one to go because of the higher level of interest. And lastly here, I asked Justin's opinion on a couple of tough guys in the NHL, some unique players here, and Tom Wilson of the Washington Capitals, one of the biggest rivals of the Penguins, as well as Ryan Reaves, current Golden Knight, and former member of his beloved Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay, Tom Wilson or Ryan Reeves. Oof, I'm a big fan of Ryan Reeves. I've always liked the guy. He just has that contagious personality to him, and that's what really sets him apart opposed to Tom Wilson in some ways, simply because Ryan Reeves is a very team-oriented guy. He likes to joke around, have fun. He's a real locker room personality to the point that he can really ease tensions going into big games and so on. I really have been a fan of Ryan Reeves forever. Tom Wilson, as a Penguins fan, instantly I'm supposed to say I hate Tom Wilson. But at the same time, I do like some aspects of Tom Wilson's game. You know, how he plays that big physical style. Sometimes it can get him in trouble, I agree. But when Tom Wilson's on his game, he's more than just a big body laying big hits. He can create plays and he can finish them at the same time. So again, both two different players in a lot of ways, but Tom Wilson's stock is definitely up here. Reeves is a bit lower simply because Tom Wilson can play much more than just a rugged style of hockey. Ryan Reaves can be noted as a locker room guy. He can be noted as an agitator on the ice. Both of them bring great qualities, but because of the differences, I would see Ryan Reaves being most likely to be traded over a Tom Wilson. But at this point, I don't see either of these guys moving because of what they bring to their respective clubs. But still, it's fun. We're in the off season. There's not a lot to talk about, and it's fun just to kind of reflect on these things, just off the cuff and give initial reactions. But those would be mine to those three sets of players. So again, Top Shelf Hockey, thank you so much for having me on the channel. That was fun. It really was. And of course, make sure to subscribe to Top Shelf Hockey. He's got phenomenal content on a daily basis. And of course, you can check me out as well over at Hands Down Hockey right here on YouTube. Take it away, Mike.
Between Wilson and Reeves, if I had to pick, I would say Reeves would be more likely myself because I think the Vegas Golden Knights cap situation would be the decision driver there. And as we've seen the Golden Knights find ways to keep getting better and add these big ticket players, over time they are going to be ticking away here at some of these lower level contracts being moved. So I can see Wilson staying in Washington longer. I really don't see either team wanting to move either one. I think they would both have a lot of value in that regard. But I do think if I had to pick, I'd say Reeves would be more likely, just given the fact that Vegas is so tight on salary cap implications right now. So thank you very much, Justin, for coming on. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your well-thought-out answers. And I'd love to know what each and every one of you watching think as well. So make sure you leave some comments and let me know on these three sets of players. Who do you feel would be the most likely player to be traded? And give me your answers as to why. This is strictly, again, just for fun hockey discussions and debate. So leave your comments down below. We can discuss further. Stay tuned for further episodes in this series coming up. Let me know as well if there's any other hockey YouTubers that you want to see in this series. Leave some comments on that, and I will do my best to make it happen. Of course, I can't guarantee it, but I'll try. I do already have 3 or 4 other channels lined up that are confirmed and have episodes here in the works, and I've already begun discussions with a few others as well, and I plan on having more that I want to talk to. So I'm hoping this series can be quite lengthy and have as many episodes as we can get. I really don't care about channel size or anything of that nature. I just want good hockey YouTubers with good personalities who can come on and have a great discussion. So let me know any other channels you want to take part in the series as well. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.